Hello, my name is Mike. This is episode 1 of my project, which is to repair the engine in this car. Let me just tell you a bit about myself. I am not a mechanic. I bought this car as part of a project, which is to learn more about how these engines work and to kind of repair it. So I bought this car in December of 2017, just before Christmas, actually in a really bad snowstorm. Just west of Calgary here, we went to a little town called Airdrie, and I liked it, and it looks really nice, but there are some issues with it. The primary issue is the issues with the mechanics of the engine that I know of. I know the turbo itself is shot, which is, if you look down, down there, behind that shield, there's a turbo issue because you can hear it rattling around like a can. And I also know cylinder number 2, which is actually on this side over here, this side, there's low pressure on it. So I don't know if it's an issue with the bearings or a gasket or whatever, but until we rip it out, I can't really do a whole lot. So no, I've already drained the oil. I can't really tell from the oil that I've drained from the vehicle here if there's issues with, and I don't see any kind of silver speck, so it doesn't look like there's issues with maybe the main bearing, because I thought maybe one of the bearings has spun, but I don't know. As we get into this engine, I can see at least the head gaskets from underneath are leaking. There is a major oil leak. It looks like the main seal is gone too. But as we get into tearing this apart more and more, we'll get a better sense of what happened here, I think. I'm hoping. Let's see here. Let's just go back here. When I wanted to kind of document this to begin with. And again, I'm not a mechanic, but I've been able to fix a few things. When I purchased this car, one of the things that I noticed with it was there was an issue with the ABS light was on, the airbag light was on, the traction control light was on, and I think the brake light was on, whether the brake handle was up or down. Now this car looked like it had been sitting for a while, so I wasn't too concerned about the ABS and all that stuff. The airbag really kind of concerned me quite a bit. And let me just show you one thing, how I fixed, I fixed all of those trouble lights actually. And the airbag light is, there's some sensors, there's a board in here, if you can see this up here where my finger is, that I took the circuit board out, resoldered it, put it back together. That seemed to fix the airbag issue. The ABS thing, I took out one of the rear brake lights. I replaced both of them, but the one on the left over there actually had a very inexpensive LED type bulb that was burnt out. I know that can cause that the ABS system to go out as well, or the trouble light to come on. The other thing I did is I did clean. I didn't replace the sensors, the ABS sensors, which are here. They go down in there for both the front, left and right. I did clean those out, put them back in. So now I don't have any trouble lights, right? The ABS, the airbag, the traction control, the brake light, they all are off when the engine is running. And just so you know, the engine does run. It's not going to drive very far, but that's one thing that I wanted to kind of start. So now what I'm going to do now is I have drained the motor oil, I have drained the radiator fluid, and in the subsequent videos, what I'm hoping to do is document the pieces that I'm going to take apart, the order I take it apart. I just wanted to show you one thing, and this is an idea that I got actually from Brian. He's got a really great website, Brian's Mobile One out of Utah. Super nice guy. Wow, just fantastic. And one of the things I want to use is I'll use these Sharpies to document with dots or X's, different color code, of where each hose and where each connector goes. That way I know how to put it back together. Because I'm not a mechanic. There's a lot of airline hoses. There's air pumps and a lot of things just to help me document what's going on. So I'm going to be using this to document hoses, and if I ever have to replace a hose, I can just color code it and replace the hose, because I fully expect that some of these hoses probably need to be replaced. I can tell that some of the ground straps that are underneath this engine, one is already off. That should be replaced. That's not a big deal to fix though. So the other thing I'm going to do is eventually, after I'm focused on the engine, I will do the brakes. The brakes do need to be done. The front shocks are leaking. I can tell that they need to be done as well. But I'm not going to do that first. I want to just focus on the engine first. And again, my goal is to kind of learn how to do this, and I will make mistakes, and I will clearly document them for all to know. But this is more just about me learning how this works, how it's done, and just to get a bit of understanding of how the engine is. So one thing I can already tell you is the lug nuts that now I wasn't sure, I don't know if you can see that very well. This is a lug nut that was on this car on all the four wheels. Now I thought, oh well, a 17 mil socket will fit on that. Well, I will tell you what happens if you use a 17 mil socket. Eventually you will sacrifice one of your nice 17 mil Tektron sockets to this thing, and I cannot get this out, by the way. And really what you should be using is a proper socket. I don't know if you can see inside there, see how it's got splines that will match this. What I did do is I went to Costco. Actually, my lovely wife went to Costco and did get some new lug nuts just to make sure that they're all nice and clean. I will clean up those lug nuts. They all look like they're in pretty good shape, actually. That's not a big deal to do. But that is something that I'm going to be, I will replace those lug nuts. I will be taking off that caliper as well. I'll be using a little bit of electrolysis to kind of remove the rust from it. I can show you how I do that. And I'm going to paint them nice and red to make it look nice, make it look a bit prettier. I'm also going to take these sandblast off these rims. They're not in too bad shape. They're actually in pretty good shape. I'm just going to sandblast the front and the back and maybe just put a clear coat on them. One thing I did notice is I did take off the oil pan, and there is like obviously an oil leak that's coming. You can kind of see it a little bit here. Let me just pull this out. You can kind of see. Now that's not water, that is oil, and there is oil that's coming at least from the head gaskets. Looks like there is oil coming from maybe the main seal too. Once I get into it a bit more, I'll get a better idea of what's going on inside there. So for now, that is all I'm going to do. So this is episode 1 again of me trying to work on taking this engine out, using that wonderful engine hoist that I got off Kijiji for a really great price actually, and going from there. So anyway, as I go through this, you'll be able to see the mistakes that I've made and hopefully the progress that I make too. So that's it for episode number 1. Episode number 2, what I'm going to do is start taking apart different pieces and parts and setting them aside and getting to a point where we can take this out. When I get to a point where I have to take it out, I do know that I probably will need someone to help me kind of jiggle off a few things to remove it from that back plate. This is an automatic, 5-speed automatic transmission, so you have to lift up the transmission to get it kind of the right angle, to pull it out at a bit of an angle, and you'll see when I get to that point what I'm talking about. But for now, before the next video starts, what I'll do is I'll put these wheels back on just so I can kind of roll it around a little bit if I have to. The brakes and stuff, like I said later, I'll do that after. What I want to focus on now is the engine, and focus on what's required in doing that. So what else? Anything else? I don't think so. That's it for now. So oil is out, the battery is out, as you can see. The rad fluid is mostly out, and I'll start disconnecting things and trying to set stuff aside, take off only what I need to take off, and lay stuff as I have room off to the left or the right, so I have access to the engine bay to remove the engine and to put it back in. So I found an outfit in Ottawa, and I'll put the link when I get to that point, to rebuild the turbo. The IHI turbo that is in these devices, in these units, is actually a very, very good turbo. This car, as an American car, although it's in Canada, it's been registered in Canada, has 142,000 miles on it. It does look like it's the original engine. It does look like it's the original turbo. So that's actually not too bad for a car, right? 10-year-old car, right? But we'll see if we can get it back up and running and document it as we go. So that's it for me, and we'll see you next time. Take care.